Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 138 of the Best Games Period. I'm your host, Jack Gardner, and with me this week is the incredible, the wonderful, words failingly amazing, Aiden Strawhun. Strawhun? Strawhun. Oh. Perfect name for you.
Oh.
Welcome to the show. This is your first time being on the Best Games Period. It's wonderful having you finally. Like, we've known each other for what, like 5 years?
Oh my god, it feels like that.
I think it might be 5 years.
You know what? Yeah, you might be right.
2014?
Holy shit, has it really been that long?
Or maybe 2015. It's either
maybe 2015 because I was still in undergrad when we initially met.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that's been that long.
We're old.
We're old. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for having me. I should say that.
So, Aiden, where might people have found your work before? Like, what do you do?
God,
Who is this enigmatic figure I have invited onto this program?
The embodiment of pink, and I do absolutely everything under the sun.
All right.
Okay, to be more specific.
Yeah.
I am a journalist, a grad student, a nanny, a whole bunch of other things, but you probably know me from IGN or the work I've done with Kotaku or with Paste Magazine or GameSpot, and I am also the advocacy director for Women in Games International.
Excellent. That is a lot of hats to wear.
Yes, I wear about 50 every day. It's great.
Have you considered maybe wearing fewer hats?
No.
Oh no.
I'm the hat rack.
You're a hat rack? No.
Oh, that's a joke actually from like a stream I did a couple of years ago.
Deep cut.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you been playing lately? Like what's really interesting to you? With all the hats you're wearing, do you even have time to play games?
Not so much anymore, but I've really been enjoying, at least like my scope of recently is probably within the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not really recent, like for a lot of people. But I've really been enjoying multiplayer games in a way that I never have before, because I am in a long distance relationship with my partner, Joseph Noop. Haha, plug. We can't get out of each other's work. It's a lot. But let's see. We've played a lot of Overcooked 2, which is like my favorite game on the planet.
Really?
But you guys have already talked about that on this podcast, and I feel betrayed.
We talked about Overcooked, not Overcooked 2.
We might have to change the topic of this podcast then.
I mean, whatever you want to talk about is fine with me.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Overcooked 2 because that's my favorite game in the world. Like, I love it so much I play it by myself. Yeah, I hate myself, clearly.
What makes it your favorite game? Like, what...
I love the chaos of it.
Okay.
It's just so fun and addicting to me. And also, I love cooking games. And I love to cook. And then we've also been playing, more recently, Gears 5 together.
Oh, okay.
Which seems like totally out of my realm because I am like glitter and sparkles and everything sweet and sunshine and rainbows. Which is generally my genre. But I also really appreciate the storytelling in Gears 5. And while shooters are not really my cup of tea, that one's been a really fun one to play with him.
Cool. So what makes this one different?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't mind violent games, of course. Like I said before, they're definitely not my cup of tea and not what I gravitate towards. But I think what makes this one different is the cooperative gameplay through the campaign, right? Whereas like a lot of shooters only have a single player campaign and it's not usually co-op. I appreciate that this one is co-op and that it actually has a lot of flexibility in its co-op. Like, he usually plays on like intermediate or hard, and I play on beginner because I suck at shooters. Bad games journalist. But it's nice to have that flexibility, and then also the flexibility and the options to like enlarge the text, because I can't see very well. And also like to turn off gore. Like that's something that I really appreciate because violent video games are really triggering to me. You know, that's why I can't play horror games. And I've really appreciated a lot of the options that Coalition has included in this game. And that's something that a lot of people have been talking about, especially Courtney from Can I Play That? Her review on Gears of War 5 went super viral, and it's really great, and you should definitely read it.
So are those accessibility options for you, especially when it comes to like the gore option, like those make it playable for you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, and like I can play other games too, like Call of Duty and stuff too, but like they're kind of mind-numbing, and they aren't necessarily like gory games. Right? Whereas like Left 4 Dead is a gory game because it's zombies. But like I love Left 4 Dead because it's fun. But like honestly having the option to turn it off makes it so much more enjoyable for me because it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to deal with this thing that really actually does bother me and really does upset me, you know? And it's nice to have that.
Well, so I was going to ask, like, is this your first Gears of War game?
It's not my first.
Okay.
So I actually haven't played a ton of the Gears games. I played the remake of the first game, Ultimate, with my older sibling because it came with my Xbox.
Fair.
But like even I enjoyed it then, you know, and I don't think that one had the options in it. But I also wasn't really impacted by those things when I was younger, you know, whereas like now that I'm older and I've had a lot more time to kind of process the things that I've been through and really assess the things that bother me and upset me and the things that I consume, you know, it's nice to have the agency.
Right. Nice to have that option. Okay. So you've been playing Overcooked and Gears 5. Definitely with your endorsement, I'm more interested in playing it. I played through the first 3 co-op with a friend of mine way back in the day.
You should join me and Joe. Actually, I think it is 3-player.
Is it? Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And there's a character named Jack. It's a very cute robot.
Even better. That's basically what I am, in a nutshell. So I might have to take you up on that.
Absolutely.
I have not been playing Gears 5, however. I've been playing a couple weird ones. I guess just one weird one. So I've been putting a fair amount of time into Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey.
That looks so interesting.
It's so weird, and I love it. I've never played anything quite like it. It's like it's sort of an action game, sort of a crafting game, but it's very mechanically deep. So
not like Ark.
No. Definitely not like Ark. So the basic premise is you start the game and you are thrown back in time to 10 million BC. And you are basically inhabiting the bodies of like successive generations of hominids as they evolve like the group structure and technological awareness and like all of the things that like make humans human.
Okay.
And so in each generation, did you ever play Spore?
I did not.
Okay. Well,
I remember Spore. I'm old enough to remember it at least.
So in Spore, you started off as like a single cell organism, and then you worked your way up to like an animal, and then like in that animal state, you could eventually form tribes. And basically that's where like that it's a much more in-depth and elongated version of that stage of Spore, except it's specifically about humans.
Okay. And not like cute little aliens.
Right. Instead it's like cute little monkey creatures.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they look, at the very beginning, you look very, very monkey-like.
So I have a really important question for you about this game.
Yeah.
Are there dinosaurs?
There are, not that I've seen so far, but there are, like, giant, now extinct species of like crocodile. Like everything that's in the game is supposedly accurate to modern science.
Okay.
So
I'll excuse it.
so the basic point is in each generation you can inhabit the body of any member of your like tribe or clan, and you go out into the world and you find like better spots to like settle your habitations, or you figure out how to use new things that you encounter in the environment. Like, for example, the other day I managed to kill a giant wild boar, and because I had mastered the use of like sharpened sticks, which, by the way,
Mine stick.
it took me 3 hours to figure out how to sharpen a stick. That's the kind of game this is, and I love it.
That actually sounds fantastic. I have to play this now.
So like a good example of this is I killed this wild boar, and as like my tribe was like eating the meat from the boar, I discovered like a hardened bone that I could like use as like a club, but I can clearly like, you can modify almost everything and like make things like more efficient or more beneficial, or like discover different uses for them. I still don't know what the bone club can be modified to do, but I'm really interested and excited. There are also I also found out like a meteorite fragment, and I don't know what I can use that for yet, but that's interesting. So like a lot of this early game has been building tools, and as you do things in the world, as you like intimidate predators or like listen for danger or like try and identify different smells, you get like these, I guess, like evolution points that you can spend to like basically improve your different abilities. So like smell, cognition, like being able to like remember stuff, the ability to walk upright, the ability to like use both hands at the same time, because at the beginning it's really like you can't focus, you have to focus on just like one thing. And then also like social advancements, so like being able to tell your tribe to like mimic your movements and stuff like that, to speed things up, or like have them all grab
so cool
like spears or something. So you do all of this stuff and you unlock these points, but at a certain point your generation is kind of capped for how much you can like learn and absorb, right? And so you need to rely on getting like beneficial genetic mutations when you trade off to the next generation of hominids. And you can pass along a certain amount of that accumulated knowledge to the next generation. So like and right now it's like 4 different traits that I've learned that I can pass on, but like the point, like the overarching like antagonist, I guess, for this game is seeing whether or not you can progress the human race faster to modernity than we actually evolved, I guess. So it's pretty interesting and weird and cool, and I've never seen anything else like it.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
The other game I've been playing is Frostpunk, which is a perfect game for someone who is anxious about a coming climate apocalypse.
So all of us,
yeah,
I hope.
Yeah. It's just nice. I guess the real fantasy of Frostpunk is imagining that a climate apocalypse would be cold rather than hot.
Fair. Well, I mean, day after tomorrow.
Well, yeah, I just mean like the fantasy of it is less that
it's less like global warming.
We're escaping into a cooler alternate reality.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. It scratches like that strange existential itch that is somewhere between like we're all gonna die, and it'd be nice to chill out.
Haha.
I'm sorry, I couldn't stop myself while I was talking about it.
That was great. That was a very well taken opportunity.
Thank you. So now, apparently, we're either going to talk about Overcooked 2 or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, or both. I don't know. It's up to you, really. You're the guest.
Let's start with Pocket Camp, because that's what we had initially planned on.
Right.
And I have so many feelings about Pocket Camp.
Yeah, you're the one who put this forward, and I was kind of surprised. I know you were so excited about Animal Crossing. I think you called it like Animal Tossing or something like that.
Probably.
In our exchanges.
That sounds like me.
So
let's not toss animals. We are not that one streamer here.
No, don't do that. In my upcoming D&D campaign this Sunday that is going to be just starting, one of the ground rules is there are going to be no depictions of animal abuse.
Great.
So we do not condone animal abuse on this podcast.
Absolutely not. Especially, like, even with my mice, we have humane traps. We don't kill them.
Well,
we take them up to our little park.
And the other thing is, now that we've established that this podcast does not condone animal abuse, I think we all have to start wondering why other podcasts aren't out there denouncing animal abuse.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean...
Get your shit together, guys.
Yeah, I mean...
Stop being cowards!
I want to know where every gaming podcast falls on animal abuse, because if you're not against it... Whew...
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, speaking of animals and not condoning animal abuse, let's talk about the most pure and wholesome depiction of animals in video games ever.
Oh, I thought you were about to say the most pure and wholesome depiction of animal abuse, and you're going to relate that to capitalism. Anyway, go on.
I mean, fair. I'm sorry, I need to collect myself after that. Because there is rampant capitalism in Animal Crossing.
There is.
Looking at you, Tom Nook.
Looking at you, series antagonist Tom Nook. Colonial power Tom Nook.
Ugh. Don't even get me started on that. Anyway, the thing I love about Pocket Camp is that while it is not the same sort of joy I get from the core series, which is a chore simulator, and, I clearly live for the mundane.
What does that mean?
I just really like menial tasks that take my brain off of the chaos of life. Instead of cleaning up my room, okay, I can weed my town and feel successful.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Or catch bugs.
Yeah.
And actually learn something interesting. At the Field Museum in Chicago and at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles, I was able to identify several fish because of Animal Crossing. Anyway.
Edutainment game 2020.
Exactly. I appreciate Animal Crossing Pocket Camp because while it's not the same experience, it is an experience that still scratches the itch that I have for Animal Crossing. I have played New Leaf to death. I've probably sunk about 300 to 400 hours into that game. It's a 3DS game. How do you do that? I appreciate that, like, Pocket Camp, I've been playing it since it released. Like, literally since the day it released. And I've gone through spurts with it. Like, there's definitely a few months where I didn't play it at all. But I appreciate that it brings a lot of new elements to Animal Crossing. And I also appreciate that we're seeing those new elements kind of evolve into new horizons. Like crafting. You were able to do that to an extent in New Leaf with the refurbishing of furniture and like customizing the colors and things like that, which was super interesting and fun and also really annoying. But it was the iteration of it in Pocket Camp is a little bit more dense than that, and I really appreciate it for that. And I also really appreciate that it has a sort of like flea market-esque tie back to New Leaf as well, with the market box, which is like more of an online player marketplace where you can sell.
Can I ask what a flea market like tie back to?
There was a flea market in New Leaf.
Okay.
Retail.
Okay. I did not play Animal Crossing New Leaf, so
Oh my god, like, Jack, this might be the end of the game for us.
I lost my 3DS somewhere, and I have no idea what happened to it. If you
poor
find
baby.
it,
okay,
please
we'll
call
fix
me.
this. We'll fix this. You deserve New Leaf. Everybody deserves New Leaf. But anyway, I like that illusion, and I like that it plays on the small expansion that they did for New Leaf as well, like the camping expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they did that, is so they could transition to Pocket Camp more easily.
Yeah.
Slick Nintendo.
Which, and camps translate to New Horizons, because you're camping in that one too. It's been a conspiracy, a marketing conspiracy.
Wee, wee, wee. That was that was really sad. I'm so sorry.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you.
I tried.
You did. You did your best.
Oh boy. Anyway, I also really love that Pocket Camp brings in a new aspect of multiplayer that feels so much more supportive. So in previous Animal Crossing games, there obviously was multiplayer where you could like exchange items with each other, or your friend could come to your town and help you build it and improve it, or pick your weeds, or come and catch animals with you, or play mini games or whatever. And catch animals with you. Wow, that's a bad phrase. Catch bugs or fish with you, I should say. But those are animals. Technically, it's kind of on the money.
It's good. It's good that they haven't like made fish people in Animal Crossing, because things would get awkward real fast.
Have they made fish people?
I hope not. Otherwise, that museum is in extremely poor taste.
I'm gonna look into that.
No. I mean, I do know that I find it disturbing that KK Slider didn't wear clothes for a very long time.
Look, he's a guitarist. He doesn't need to.
But
I mean,
what?
What?
Wait a minute. What?
I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, that's bad. Don't delete that. Please delete that.
I don't know if I can.
Bitch.
Editing.
Anyway.
What's that?
Anyway, where were we? Oh yes, multiplayer.
Right.
So there are a lot of events that go on through each month. There's like 2 or 3 of them. So there's fishing tourneys, there's flower events, and guy road scavenger hunts each month now. And this didn't used to be a thing when the game initially launched. But now, what's really cool about all of these events is that like there's like a sort of leaderboard with the fishing tourneys, so you can see like, oh hey, my friends have caught this many fish, and I'm doing X amount better than them, I'm not, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of fun, the competitiveness of it. But then also like in the flower events, there's so much collaboration. So you plant your plants and your friends can water them for you, and then you catch bugs. But you have to share your bugs with everyone. It's really precious.
Yeah,
it's
really
so cute.
is.
I love sharing my bugs. And it feels so good to have a space that feels like a little bit more collaborative than and innocent, than like the typical multiplayer that we usually see that is so competitive.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's great to like be able to come to this space for like 5 minutes of my day and, oh yeah, you know what? I can share my bugs with you if I want to. Hey, I can see how many fish you've caught. How do we match up? Or, let me water your plants for you. Let me help you get into the quarry. It's so cute and sweet and innocent. And that's everything I've ever loved about Animal Crossing. What Pocket Camp is today is way better than what it was when it launched. And I think that goes to stay for a lot of video games these days, in that they are not necessarily all of them are adopting the games as a service model, but that developers are, launching a game, testing out new features, taking time to launch new features and making a game an experience that's an investment more so, an investment of time, I should say. And they make it more worthwhile the more time that you spend with it. And that's what I appreciate about Pocket Camp the most.
Yeah, I feel conflicted about the ever lengthening amount of time that games are trying to get people to spend in their worlds, because like the more amount of time that you put into it, the more likely you are going to be like a returning user for when they make the next game and all that stuff, which is fine. Like, that's not what I'm like kind of like split about. It's more and maybe this is like very industry specific for me, but like the demand on my time from all of these things that I need to stay on top of, that I just don't have that time. Like, I have a copy of The Last Guardian. I've played the first hour. I looked forward to that game for the 11 years. I still have not had time to sit down and just like play it.
That's a mood.
And I'm very salty about it. I have a copy of Max Payne 3 sitting on my shelf that it still has its cellophane wrapper on because I haven't had time to play it. So
yeah, I feel like with this new idea of like games as a service and like the constant development of them after launch, it's a double-edged sword. In one hand, it's really nice because it allows you to continue to enjoy the game after you completed the main content that launched with the game, right? That's something that I can appreciate, especially if it's a game that I really enjoy, like say Final Fantasy 15. They've added so much new content to it over the years since it launched, and I still play it, like, because I'm a nerd. But, I also still play Elder Scrolls, and, like, that's not a game that has any sort of, like, true post-content launches other than its DLC. Like, and that's something that you can kind of consider, but it's not the same, like, games as a service model.
Right.
It's, like, more of a traditional games model that, like, what we had grown accustomed to growing up playing these games before this games as a service shift that we've seen in the last couple of years. Yeah. And I totally see your argument on that. Like, there's not enough time to play every game you want to, or read every book you want to, or do every single little thing that you want to in your lifetime. There's just not. Well,
there's that element, but also it's just that, like, how do I put this? Like, the demands of existence are just so high right now in terms of what we need to spend our time doing just to kind of like make ends meet. That like there's so much there's just so much going on, and that's why I think eventually they're gonna start hitting this like diminishing returns on trying to make games as a service. And it's not going to be because people don't necessarily have the money. It's because people aren't going to have the time, because we're expected to work so much to just like
and so hard
pay rent and eat. Like, I don't know. I know this is just a video game podcast, but it gets like into this whole area where we start talking about like the cost of living and the cost of housing.
Oh my god, we absolutely could, and like I could totally destroy on that because I live in the most expensive city in the country.
Yeah, you do.
Z-snaps.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we want to go there right now.
Yeah, I mean,
unless we want to frame it in the context of Tom Nook.
We'll probably get there when we start talking about the economics of Animal Crossing. But so that a lot of the stuff you brought up is specifically related to Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Yeah.
So what makes Pocket Camp so different?
It's not the same sort of chore simulator. So Pocket Camp requires you to fulfill requests, right? And you can only do a certain amount of requests in an hour or so. It shifts every 3 hours, so you get like new animals with new requests every 3 hours. So it keeps content fresh, depending on when you're playing it. But in the original core titles, like, you're not necessarily fulfilling requests all the time. You're kind of just existing in this space with all of these animals who love you because you exist, and just kind of running around and doing whatever you want. And in Pocket Camp, you can't do that. You know, you can to an extent. Like, you can run around and catch bugs and catch fish if you want to, if that's all you want to do. You know, that exists. But it's not the same sort of experience that you have in the core games, in the sense that it feels more pressured in a way because you have the request system. Whereas in the core games, you don't have that. There's really not a ton of pressure to spend your entire day collecting resources and items to give away to these animals, to collect crafting resources, to create furniture, to invite them to your campsite. You know, like that chain. That chain doesn't really exist in the core games.
So, and I guess what about that additional pressure do you find super appealing?
I am a really hardcore task-based gamer.
Mm-hmm.
I love that shit.
So are you like big on mobile games in general then?
Not really.
No.
There are some mobile games that I really love, like Elder Scrolls Blades. And my deep dark secret is Love Nikki.
I don't know what that is.
Google it. I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm so embarrassed by it.
Oh no.
It's pink. It's cute. It's extremely me. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
But that's my deep dark secret. And Pocket Camp, like, those are the 3 main mobile games that I play. Like, Pokemon Go was perfectly fine, and I enjoy playing that from time to time. I play it with friends when they want to. But it's not a game that I can really get invested in. Whereas, like, Pocket Camp and Blades and Love Nikki, I've gotten invested in. Like, those are games that I have played for years.
I now know what Love Nikki is, by the way.
Isn't it adorable?
It's very cute.
Anyway. No, it's made me feel really good that a lot of the other ladies in the IGN office also play Love Nikki. So I'm not alone in my obsession.
Yeah.
But, like, there are very few mobile games that I feel the need to, like, kick money at. And Pocket Camp is actually not one of them. And not because, like, I don't want to support the developers at Nintendo, or that Nintendo is already a very thriving company and doesn't necessarily need my money off of a free game. But Pocket Camp, I feel like, rewards you well enough to succeed in the game if you spend enough time with it. And it also rewards you just for playing it. That's what I appreciate about it. It's a mobile game that doesn't pressure you into its microtransactions. And whereas, like, a game like Love Nikki kind of is, or a game like Elder Scrolls Blades kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nintendo just approaches microtransactions in a different light, and that's something I really appreciate about them. Like, they exist. They're there, you know? And to exist in a mobile game sphere nowadays, like, you have to have microtransactions, right? Especially if you're offering a free game or a free-to-play or free-to-start game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crappy and shitty, and I wish it didn't have to be that way, but also that's what makes mobile gaming so accessible, is that you can choose to invest if you want to. Whereas, like, console gaming, that's not always the case. But where was I going with all of this?
Like, what makes you enjoy the additional pressure of Pocket Camp?
I love tasks. I really love tasks. Even when I was playing WoW with Joe, which he did not like. Shame him.
I also don't like WoW.
I like WoW.
I do not like MMOs in general.
I'm not a huge MMO person either, but I mean, I like Elder Scrolls Online because I'm such an Elder Scrolls junkie. But I also really enjoy WoW just because, like, both of them, the gameplay is checking off boxes. And I live for that. I don't know why, but I do.
What about Final Fantasy XIV?
I haven't played Final Fantasy 14.
I feel like your love of Yume Nikki would translate well. Just
I
saying.
may consider that.
Just saying.
Well, because I know like you and Nat and everyone else plays it all the time, so I need to.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest thing when it comes to gaming, like I said, is checking off boxes. You know, I like to feel successful when I play a game.
Yeah.
And, you know, that request system like makes you feel successful. You know, building furniture, that makes you feel successful. And, you know, checking off the boxes of like, oh, I invited this villager, I haven't invited this one, what do I need to do to invite this one? That just like really hits my sweet spot.
Okay. Now that's an interesting thing that I think gels with generally why I think people enjoy Animal Crossing and why I have enjoyed Animal Crossing in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that key element of feeling successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that the this ties into what like I've talked before about Animal Crossing, but I tend to view it as like one of the main reasons that people love Animal Crossing is they can experience capitalism and the accumulation of things, but without the implicit threat that comes with capitalism that you're going to be left destitute and suffering if you don't participate in the system. Like you can spend an entire day collecting bugs and like make, I don't know, 20 bells or something. And like that's fine. Like it's not like Tom Nook
totally
is going to come.
There's no judgment.
It's not like Tom Nook is going to come and be like, where's my mortgage payment?
Where my bells at?
Where my bells at? Yeah, like that's kind of and so that allows us to kind of experience like that what we typically associate with success with without having to subject ourselves to like the downside. It's not like there are vagrant animals who are like unable to live in your town because housing prices are so high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no gentrification.
Right.
And
right. All of these problems.
Or anti-homeless structures.
Exactly. Gosh, I saw that tweet you made today about that, and that made me so mad.
Oh my god. Oh my god, don't even get me started on that.
Yeah. So, I think that's kind of the core appeal. And so full disclosure, I tried to play some Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, and I think I need to be in a very specific headspace for Animal Crossing now, as opposed to like when I was a kid. Like I played the original Animal Crossing to death. Like I played that game insanely long hours. But now I have I don't know. I have like a list of real world things I need to check off. And I guess now if I have spare time, it's just kind of like I think for me what ends up happening is it just feels like I'm adding to that real world list when I'm like, oh, I have to go. It feels like
an obligation more than something that's like enjoyable for you.
I have to go interact with Goldie because I want to invite them to my Pocket Camp. And like it's I guess it's just tying into a little bit with like the demands on our time. Like I don't really know how to like further articulate it. I feel like I'm not doing a very good job.
No, I think you're doing a perfectly fine job. You know, I think for me, like what draws me to it is that like grad school is so soul-crushingly awful.
Sounds about right.
Don't go to grad school. It's a mistake. But I think for me, because like I don't feel successful at grad school, and because I don't feel like I found a space in which I can belong there, because many people have made it known that they don't want me to belong there. And the
What does that
experiences that I've
mean?
had.
I'm sorry. I know that that's kind of derailing you a little bit, but
Uh, so okay.
as someone who
I've
did not go to grad school,
Yeah, I've been in two journalism programs, right? I'm the one that I'm in now at UC Berkeley, and the one that I was at in Florida Gulf Coast University, down in Fort Myers, Florida. And my first program at Florida Gulf Coast, I was there for 4 years. And it's a very small university. Like, the only reason why anybody knows about it is because of basketball. We got into the Sweet 16 one year. And I mean, you know about it because I did my service learning project with Extra Life. But the big thing about FGCU is that it's a very small, tight-knit community, and I was very involved in that community for years. And that was my home, and my journalism program, because it was so small, was my family. And I only had like 3 professors for all of my classes, so I really got to know them really, really closely, and I still talk to them. Like, I still casually text one of my old professors just to update her on like how my day was every once in a while.
Aww.
That's how close we are.
Yeah.
And that's the big reason why I decided to go to grad school, is because that was such a fulfilling experience for me, that I thought like, hey, maybe there's something more that I could learn, and maybe there's another community that I could join and be a part of and feel welcomed and feel fulfilled by doing this. And also, I wanted to pursue my teaching certification, because teaching is something that is really, really fulfilling to me and rewarding as well. Like, even being a nanny, like, I never expected me to love nannying so much, because I'm not really a kid person,
Right.
But it's been so rewarding because I get to watch these kids change and grow and develop and come into their own. And that's like the coolest thing I've ever experienced,
Yeah.
And also babies. Babies are great. Don't ever want to be a mom, but babies are great.
Yeah. They're good to visit.
They really are. They're wonderful. And like, how do
Yeah.
you be upset after snuggling with a baby? Like, you just can't. That's illegal. Anyway.
What, snuggling with babies, or
No, like being
that
upset after.
content? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, being upset after snuggling a baby. Like, it's not possible.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that probably came out weird, huh?
Yeah, just a little. But we're on the same track now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the thing for me and my problem with UC Berkeley is that I don't have that same feeling of connection and of family and of camaraderie that I did at FGCU. And that's probably been the most heartbreaking thing.
Is it just because it's a bigger school?
No, my cohort is about the same size as it was at FGCU. My class sizes, there's one of my classes this semester where there's only 5 of us.
Okay.
And like, of course, I know all the people who are in there now because like I've been in classes with them for the last year. But they're not people that I've gotten extraordinarily close to like I did at FGCU, And where I feel like I got lifetime friends and colleagues out of FGCU, I feel like here I'm just another rung in the ladder for them to find their own success, And it's really upsetting, I don't want to be a step in your path. I want to be someone who walks alongside you.
Yeah.
And supports your success, not someone that you walk on.
Yeah. It should be a table of equals.
Exactly, and it doesn't feel like that at all. And that's frustrating. Of course, there are still wonderful people and voices there, and I've had great experiences there. Some of the conversations that we have are just so deep and enlightening and intriguing, and that's something I really love about it, right? Mm-hmm. I love that we have challenging conversations and that we are challenging each other, right? But I've also had a lot of experiences with people in power who have been really ageist and really sexist to me when they find out that I am 23 years old and in a master's program. Like, yeah, I'm young. Like, a lot of people don't go directly from undergrad to grad school, but some people do.
Right.
But I'm among the youngest in my program, and a lot of people don't take me seriously because of it. And that's frustrating too. And it's frustrating to be in a space where you're trying to learn and you bring it up that, hey, I'm struggling with this and I want help. And then the person who you're trying to learn from doesn't know how to teach you that because they're so used to teaching a certain type of person.
Right.
And it's also frustrating that you can have a really bad experience with someone. And this goes to show for like any situation that you're in any environment. But you can have a really bad situation with someone and nobody else will acknowledge it. You know, that this person's flawed like everyone else.
Right.
And they'll still try to involve you in that space with that person. And it's really uncomfortable. You know?
Yeah.
And it's been really challenging on a number of levels, just like in my personal life and in my professional life, and being taken seriously and being listened to, because it also doesn't help that I'm one of the only entertainment journalists in my program. I think I'm the only gaming journalist they've ever had.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, which I mean says a lot about the admissions team and taking a chance on me, which I think was great and wonderful, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't have the resources I need to flourish.
Right.
And whereas like I did at FGCU, and I was pushed forward and I was encouraged, and my professors invested in me, you know, and like I have professors who are investing in me now, which feels so great, you know. But my first semester, it didn't really feel like that. And my second semester, it didn't really feel like that either. It just felt like I existed there. And I don't want to just exist in a space. Like I want to be a part of it, and I want to be a part of the cog that makes the machine work. And, you know, Berkeley tries to pride itself on that message of like, oh, look at us, you know, we're the best public university in the world and you're going to have such a great education here. But it falls in line with so many systemic issues still that it doesn't want to address. And it's frustrating as a feminine presenting person in a male-dominated industry, and it's frustrating as a queer person in this industry as well, you know, that there are a lot of parts of me that are unique and take an interesting spin into my career, into the work that I do, that just aren't being recognized.
Now,
that was a really long tangent. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Is to kind of maybe get us back on track, is that feeling of alienation something that Pocket Camp helps you kind of address, or is it kind of something that soothes that feeling inside of you?
Yeah, because it makes me feel successful.
Well, because it makes you feel successful.
Yeah,
but
it makes me feel successful in a space where I don't feel successful.
Yeah.
You know,
but
it's a welcome distraction.
But also it puts you in a position where your character is kind of respected by everybody and like treated kindly. Like that's kind of like the fundamental ethos of Animal Crossing is this kindness. And I can definitely see where like if you're not getting that in real life, Animal Crossing can be like a really good thing.
A very healing thing. We'll put it that way.
And that kind of gets to like also other games where like kindness is like the underlying ethos. I think games like Stardew Valley, for example, or
absolutely.
Harvest Moon, like the kind of laid back experiences where you know, it's not necessarily about combat per se, it's just about working towards a goal, or not even working towards a goal, but just existing in a space that is pleasant.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. For Pocket Camp, I guess I'm not sure that like you were saying, it's a different sort of beast from traditional Animal Crossing games.
Oh, in a million ways.
So,
and you see it when you play it. You know, it's not something that's easily described, because like when I describe the gameplay, it sounds like the core games because it's reminiscent, right? But it's just, there's something different about it, and it's not something that can really easily be put into words.
Yeah, it's more focused and constrained. Like you have different destinations to visit rather than spending most of your time in like a main town area. It seems like it's much more socially oriented, where you're constantly inviting the animals to come hang out with you, and like they're just really aggressively pleasant.
Aggressively pleasant. That's the best way to describe Animal Crossing.
Um, and so I guess this entire conversation, I've found it really difficult to kind of like articulate what makes Animal Crossing, what makes Pocket Camp so unique and interesting, because it's also completely unlike anything else Nintendo has put out into the mobile space. Like, you got Mario Run and the Dr. Mario game and like the two Pokemon mobile games on your phone. And so like it seems like they're throwing a lot of things at the wall to see what's gonna stick. What makes this worthy of nominating as a best game period? Because it's not like the show hasn't had mobile games on it before. But I think that there might be some people who like look at the title of this show and go, really? Is that a best game period? Like what elevates it to that level for you to nominate it?
Loaded question.
Hitting you with the hard hitting fact seekers. That's what I call questions.
What a journalist.
It's a hard hitting fact seeker. You know, that's why I call Q&A sessions HH S's and A's.
What? Do I want to know what that means?
Hard hitting fact seeker.
Okay.
And answers.
Oh my god. Okay. Let me think about that for a minute.
I'm really sorry.
I love you.
That was the stupidest thing I've said in a long time, and that's saying
it's okay.
Something.
At least it wasn't as stupid as my woo woo woo. Okay. What makes it one of the best games, period?
Or, like, it doesn't even have to be, like, one of the best games, period. If you genuinely don't think it is, like, it could just be a game that you really, really love. But, like, this is... I guess we're kind of, like, getting close to wrapping up. So, like, what made you want to discuss it?
It's just wholesome. You know? Like, it's like 5 minutes of peace out of a chaotic day. You know, and like as we said before, it's aggressively pleasant, and that's something I appreciate so much. Like there's so many games these days where they're not focusing on like making your day better. You know, they're focusing on really hard-hitting storylines and narratives and unique gameplay, and it's dark and it's gritty, and like there's a space for that. Like honestly, I love those kinds of games. I eat them up, but they're not what I want to play every day, especially when I've had a really bad day. Like, I don't want to, like, throw on What Remains of Edith Finch. Like, I want to throw on something that's cute and light and airy and that is going to help elevate my mood, you know? Because, like, I've described before, grad school is really hard and challenging in ways I never expected it to be, you know? And maybe that's because of the transition of my life, you know, or maybe that's just because like of the environment. I don't know. But I would much rather be able to come back and have a cup of tea and play a game for 5 minutes and snuggle with the cat and listen to him purr and have a game that kind of reflects that feeling of coziness than throw myself into a really violent video game that's potentially going to trigger me, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it one of the best games, period, as the podcast is asking and like what you're asking, because it's peace.
Yeah, and I think one of the more unexplored areas in gaming are games that are games that allow you to interact with the world in peaceful and fulfilling ways.
Well, because we're attracted to misery.
Well, we're attracted to misery, but also like for the historical roots of like the medium are rooted in violent conflict, because that's like, you know, the very first game is about a space war. like or one of the very first arcade games.
Galaga?
I was thinking about the game. I think it's literally called Space War.
Okay.
Because there's like
Because I
tennis.
think the first video game ever
tennis
was
for
Pong,
two.
right?
Yeah, well, tennis for two, which is
Okay.
slightly different than Pong, but
Okay.
basically, I just think that there's so much more unexplored space still to have these games that aren't necessarily even art house games, but are
Feel good and silly and kind.
yeah, like even there's even a still a huge dearth of like comedy games, like
Oh, yeah.
comedy in games, like that's super hard to do
Oh, yeah.
because we haven't like nailed down how to effectively do it.
Without being, like, inappropriate or not funny.
Right, or gosh, I was just working on something for a game that exactly talks about this, and now I'm just like looking around like I'm gonna find it. Oh, Frog Detective. Frog Detective and Frog Detective 2. I think exist in that comedy space that is relatively unexplored. It provides kind of a subtle sense of humor that is just trying to be pleasant and kind, kind of like we've talked about, and doesn't revolve around conflict. It is still an adventure game, which that's fine. But it's not like you're solving murders or something like that. You're just a frog who is a detective, and you're a good detective, and you have a mystery to solve. And like that's great. I want to see more games like that where I don't know, not everything has to be like Star Ocean till the end of time. There's just
no.
massive giant world destroying things flying around the universe killing life. Like we don't have to do that for all or even most games. We can do stuff like
Pull weeds and catch bugs.
pull weeds and catch bugs, and that can be just as engaging and just as fun.
Dude, honestly, yeah.
That intangible element as it is to, I don't know, chainsaw gun a locust in half. I don't even know if they're fighting the locust anymore in Gears of War.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
You were correct.
Cool. I know things about games.
Are you a real games journalist or are you just a phony?
No,
You're a wannabe, aren't you?
I'm a fake. I've been faking
Coward!
the entire time. That's why no one knows who I am.
Oh my god! I know who you are, and apparently I've known who you are for 5 years.
Yeah, gosh. We need to hang out more.
We do.
So I think that's probably like a good spot to end.
Yeah, I agree.
Aiden Strawhun, where can people find you?
Oh gosh. Well,
Also
I exist on
plugs.
Twitter. I don't have much to plug because I'm in the process of creating a lot of content that probably won't release until next year. Thesis. But I exist on Twitter at Astraw, which is ASTRAWW. I talk about cats and feminism and politics all the time, and I scream a lot. But also, I'm really nice, and I like glitter and makeup. So there's that too.
Also,
I guess I'm kind of funny.
And you have a really cool Sailor Moon tattoo.
I do. I have lots of really cool tattoos, I think.
Well, good. And what you think is really all that matters.
Aww. Don't blow up my ego.
It deserves some blowing up.
Also, I complain about grad school a lot.
Yeah, well, that's, valid. You're valid.
You're
support
valid.
You. No, you.
No, you.
Only one can be valid.
Ooh.
Ooh. I was about to introduce myself again. I'm not gonna do that.
Let's try that again.
This has been an episode of the Best Games Period. Thank you very much for listening. I very much appreciate it. You can find this show over on SoundCloud, iTunes, Libsyn, Spotify. We're on pretty much all the things. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, pretty much wherever you want to find a podcast, we're there. And you can also find us over on community.extra-life.org. And if you would like to help sick and injured kids by just playing video games, you can. And you can learn more about that over on extra-life.org. And on top of that, if you would like to support the show and maybe get access to some super special exclusive episodes of it, head over to patreon.com/bestgamesperiod, where even if you support the show for $1 per month, you get access to some unique episodes, as well as additional extra content that is more infrequent than it should be. But if you want to donate more than $1 per month to us, it helps keep the lights on and keep this podcast chugging along. So very much appreciated. But it is not appreciated anywhere near as much as I appreciate Aiden Strawhun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
With that, we'll see you next time on the Flippity Dippity.